Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be talking about DCeased Dead Planet. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I am your host, Brent Casina, and today we're going to be doing a review of DCeased Dead Planet. But before we get into the review really quickly, please let me ask you to subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel grow, lets you know when I drop new videos. Hit that bell if you're crazy. So, DCeased Dead Planet is the follow-up to the very successful DCeased. This is the first volume here. This is where everything kicks off, so if you haven't read this, don't read this until you've read the first volume. I would also throw in here that you maybe need to read Unkillables to fully understand what happens in Dead Planet. There's a little bit of crossover or characters that happen in here end up at Poison Ivy's hideaway, which is basically where this whole thing takes place. And you're kind of like, where do they come from? Because you're not really following those characters in the first DCeased book. So I'd say wholeheartedly recommend you read it, because I did a review of it on the channel. You can go check that out. But I wholeheartedly recommend Unkillables. It's very, very good. So don't just take it, don't just read it to pick up and find out where you find Red Hood and everything like that, but read it because it's great and it's awesome. So, Dead Planet, what are we talking about here? Well, again, this is basically the sequel to DCeased, even though it doesn't have Volume 2 or anything on the bottom. That's fine, but it's the same team that brought you DCeased. So you got Tom Taylor writing, Trevor Hairsine doing the art, Stefano Gaudiano doing the inks. I think I pronounced his name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. And you have Rain Barreto doing the colors. Awesome. Or no, this says Gigi Baldacini. Stefano Gaudiano did the inks on the first one. So I am sorry. I did that wrong. Let me look up the inks. Alright, Stefano Gaudiano's in here, but Gigi Baldacini, I guess, did a lot of heavy lifting. Her name, if it's a her, is first, along with Tom Derenick. Honestly, I couldn't tell the difference between all those three inkers on Trevor Hairsine. It's so consistent, so all three of you guys did a great job. It looked like normal Trevor Hairsine art. And depending if you like Trevor Hairsine, that's either a good thing or a bad thing. So you have these lush covers drawn by David Finch on every issue. They're hyper-detailed, hyper, violent, that kind of thing. And then you open it up, and Trevor Hairsine has I would call it a looser style. He's not quite as detailed as David Finch, although David Finch can be as detailed as he wants to be because he's only doing covers nowadays. Is that what's going on? He used to be doing in interiors, and then I think he got a little, I don't know if he got lost jobs. He was doing a little bit slower stuff from when he was doing like the mid-2000s, the New Avengers stuff he was doing when he took over Moon Knight. I think there were some delays. But he did all of Forever Evil for DC and did a great job. I don't remember that being super late, so I could be wrong. I'm not trying to criticize. I'm just going, I know maybe he's making more money from doing covers if that's all he's doing, but I really miss David Finch, seeing him on a regular book on a regular basis, even though these covers are beautiful. But yeah, so back to Trevor Hairsine. I first met him, not in person, but in his art, reading the Ultimate War storyline, or was it Ultimate 6, I think it was, back with Ultimate Comics. Bendis was writing it. He also did, I want to say he did the X-Men story by Brubaker, Deadly Genesis. Maybe that was the first time I read him. But I think he's come a long way. Just in terms of his expressiveness and stuff like that. It's really, really strong in this book. I just opened to this shot of Black Canary, and she's a beautiful girl there, and the expressions there are, I think, really fantastic. So that's what brought it out. But again, he's not, some of this stuff, there's not really like a bunch of new designs per se. There's a new design for Superman, for Batman, for Wonder Woman, because we have the legacy characters taken over. So if you haven't read DCeased, basically Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are gone. And even though you have Superman, Batman here, this is not Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. This is Jonathan Kent, Clark's son, and this is actually Damian Wayne in the Batsuit. Who took over as Wonder Woman? Well, Cassie did. Not Cassie Lang, but Cassie Sandsmith. I'm getting her name wrong. they don't really spell it out in the book, so I'm sorry if I haven't remembered her name, but basically she's Wonder Girl in the DC universe, and she takes over as Wonder Woman. And weirdly enough, her and Batman, Damian, have a relationship in this book, even though I don't really think that they've been properly introduced in the regular DC universe yet. And she's a couple years older than him, but it doesn't work, when the apocalypse happens. So we pick up with Dead Planet in space. Our heroes have left Earth as they did at the end of DCeased, Volume 1. I'm saying Volume 1, but it's really not. But they're in space, and they get a distress signal from Cyborg back on Earth. And the distress signal is in Morse code, and it's just JL, JL, JL in Morse code. So they know, it's Cyborg, he's calling for the Justice League, we need to go get him, never leave a man behind kind of thing, even though they left a whole bunch of people on Earth behind and apparently never came back for them. So that was like a little weird thing. Never leave a man behind, but hey, there's also a whole bunch of heroes and villains and stuff on Earth that we meet in this book, and we met in Unkillables that you left behind as well. So even though they had these ships, they decided to send a team back to find out what is up with Cyborg. And in the first issue, you find out that Cyborg is saying there's a cure. There's a cure for the anti-life equation that has infected everyone on Earth with this zombie virus. So that's basically one of the plots. At the same time, you have a group of villains located in Australia led by Penguin who have built a whole bunch of the Dr. Ivo Amazo robots, and they've programmed the Amazos to, desecrate, destroy every zombie person, unliving person on the planet. So you have that juxtaposition of we can save everyone, and we have to stop the villains from destroying everyone so we can save them. And then the third storyline, which I think is the bigger one, is the storyline with John Constantine. There's a threat coming to Earth that they also have to stop at the exact same time, and it turns out that Trigon is coming to destroy the Earth because Hell is mad that all of these people are not dead. They're unliving. So none of their souls have gone to Hell, or anywhere else for that matter. So Hell hasn't gotten any new souls in 5 years, so they're very upset with the Earth, and I guess Hell is sending Trigon to destroy the Earth. Now, I know Trigon is a demon. I don't remember him being a demon from Hell. I thought he was from an alternate dimension or astral plane or whatever, but for the sake of this story, it works. He looks like the devil anyway. It's a whole lot of fun. So, DCeased Dead Planet was 7 issues, just like the first book. First hardcover collection does have like an extra book in there. It was like a one-shot. But this is just the 7 issues of Dead Planet. There was nothing else coming out at the time. And it's a really good story. I think Tom Taylor, as always, is a really good writer. And he has a good feel for the characters. It's just a little... It's weird because you haven't seen Damian, Jonathan Kent, Cassie, this old. So they have grown a lot. So Damian is definitely not the young, punky kid he is in the Batman comics now. He's more mature. He's, not really quippy. He's still pulling off the Batman thing, but it's not the little angsty, I hate you dad, 12-year-old that he is in the comics. Not at all. So I think that is the biggest thing for me that was like, this doesn't really seem like Damian because he's very mellow, very cool. Although I guess you might have to grow up if you lost everyone in your family, which Damian basically did. So I think that's maybe the only thing that's thrown me for a loop. But John Constantine is in here. He is a very well-written character. It seems like Constantine as much as I've read him. Which is only really... I haven't really read any Hellblazer stuff. I've seen the movie, which doesn't really count. But I've read the Black Label series that he just had come out recently. I've read him in Justice League Dark and all that. So it seems consistent with all the more mainstream Constantine appearances we've had over the last 10 years since we kind of joined the Vertigo universe with everything else. So that's fun. So, like I said, just because you have the anti-life equation doesn't mean you don't see the new gods. They are here. Here's Metron trying to be taken down by Mr. Miracle and the Justice League. What is going on there? You will have to read for itself. There's a quick appearance by Highfather, Orion, and Darkseid in here, but mostly all the action takes place around Earth and saving Earth, and it's really good. So there's quite a large cast of characters in here, and I think that's the strongest thing about this book. And the same thing happened with DCeased, is that There's such a large cast, and they're all kind of balanced really, really well. Everybody has a moment, whether it's a good moment, a bad moment, or whatever. They all have a moment to kind of focus in on that character and what they're about in the storyline. And I think that's why these books, written by Tom Taylor, are so successful, because he knows how to give each character a moment, and even if they were a background character or something, they find a way to give each of these guys a moment. Constantine's plan to save everybody isn't really spelled out at all, but it all comes together in the end, and it's kind of ingenious the way that he defeats Trigon or battles Trigon and stuff like that. So I recommend Dead Planet. It doesn't have as much of the terror of the zombie invasion as the original DCeased, but that's not what it's about. It's about going back and saving the Earth from this anti-life virus and stuff like that. But it does pick up on threads from the original, so I'd say it's a successful sequel, even though I don't think it's as strong as that first DCeased, just because it doesn't really have that terror component and the mystery that the first one had, where you're finding out all the rules. All the rules are established here. It's basically a good superhero story, whereas the first one was a good superhero horror story. But gets my full recommendation, 2 thumbs way up on DCeased Dead Planet. So let me know what you thought down below of DCeased Dead Planet. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? All that good stuff. Let's talk about it. And I will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.